carnivores and carnivore curious. My name is Cassandra. Welcome to my Apex Odyssey. Tonight I want to talk about artificial sweeteners. I had a viewer ask me about this in the comments, and it was really hard to answer the question in a response. So I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, and because there are a lot of things involved. But first, if you don't mind, click that like button so that other people get a chance to see this. But the question that was asked is how they affected me, because I mentioned in the last video that I believe they were partially at least responsible for me not doing as well on the carnivore diet last time, years ago, when I tried it. And I mean years ago. This is like probably 2016 and 2017, so several years ago. And I made a lot of mistakes, obviously. First of all, I wasn't aware of the healing that it was purported to do. But, I didn't notice any, really. The only health improvement that I noticed was, I remember saying that I didn't feel as short of breath. I had gotten to where I was really just any kind of walking would make me really short of breath. And after being on carnivore for a few weeks, I think, I just noticed that it got much better, and I just remember because I mentioned it to somebody. Oddly enough, I haven't noticed that this much this time, but so many other health improvements. And true, 9 years ago, my health was not as bad as it is now. My mental health probably was, but there wasn't any, serious condition that I can think of. Now, I did have fibromyalgia at the time, and I don't remember that it had any benefits to that at all. But again, I really wasn't looking for those kind of things. I was strictly interested in the weight loss aspect, and I was on it strictly for probably 7 months, and maybe lost 40 or 50 pounds in that length of time. And after that is when I had a cheat, and was just never able to get back on it consistently after that until 16 months ago. It took me a long time to get back to where I could do it again. And I'm kind of close to the phone right now, to the camera, because some people have mentioned that they have trouble hearing me. And I'm going to order, excuse me, I'm moving my chair around. I'm going to order one of those little mics that you pin on your collar, but it's not here yet. So, just hanging out close to the screen. Maybe the mic will pick me up. So, when I was doing this in 2016-ish, strictly was interested in the weight loss, lost 40 or 50 pounds, but obviously, whenever I had that cheat, I did struggle for a really long time to get back to it, because I knew that it seemed to agree with me, but I could never do it. And I think that's gut microbiome related for the most part. So that was the question. Do I think the artificial sweeteners had an effect on my mental health, or caused me to continue to have cravings? And that's why they caused me to fail And I'm sure that's not the only reason, but I do think that's a big part of it. So what I think is that artificial sweeteners were disrupting my gut microbiome, which does is related to mental health issues, or that's I've seen videos to that effect. And I was actually looking up some studies about that kind of stuff just now so that I could talk about it, and I just can't read scientific studies. I find them so boring. So I do have to look for, you know, abstracts and articles, and I know those aren't the most superest reliable. So I tend to wait for or look for videos from people whose analysis of these studies I trust, and I go watch those. But I did look up some, and just some interesting things to note that have been found. The article did not say anything about, you know, it didn't recommend that you don't use them, but it did talk about several different things, and it mentioned several studies that had been done, and it linked to those studies. Again, I didn't read them. Just, I find myself skimming too much. I just don't have the focus to pay attention to that kind of stuff. But they have been shown, artificial sweeteners have been shown, according to studies, to disrupt the gut microbiome in mice. Now, obviously mice aren't people, but so it's not out of the realm of possibility, I don't think. And there were also some lab studies done that showed that had some gut bacteria, and then they exposed them to a variety of artificial sweeteners, and it said each one of the artificial sweeteners was harmful to the bacteria, but all of them affected it in a different way. So, you know, it can depend on what kind of sweetener you're using. Might influence exactly what it's doing to your gut microbiome. And that there was another study that done in 2015 that showed that different microbiome, different people's microbiomes would react differently to artificial sweeteners, and they concluded that artificial sweeteners are just more toxic to some people than they are to others. And that is so important, because, you know, you'll have people swear that I drink diet soda all the time and it doesn't do anything to me. People are just, you know, being overreactive and overplaying the significance of what artificial sweeteners do to you. But for me, it might be different, and I've just thought that was extremely interesting, because, you know, we say all the time that this is not necessarily for everybody. Everybody might not have to do this, and that actually might be the case because of people's different microbiomes reacting differently to different sort of exposure. So, in my case, I think that the artificial sweeteners were disrupting my gut microbiome, which aggravated my mental health conditions and caused me to continue to crave sweet food and just carbs in general. So I ended up, you know, continuing to eat those eventually. You know, it's really hard. You can resist and resist and resist, but you don't have to fail in your resistance too many times for it to just be over with, you know. And I haven't eaten any significant amount of sugar in a long time. Well, I mean, for things that were available to me that might be unsweetened, excuse me, that you might have an option of getting a sugar-free version. I would always get the sugar-free version if possible. So I have been exposing myself to a lot of artificial sweeteners since probably since puberty, at least. And it's just hard to imagine how bad that is for me, or how bad it was, and it makes me sad that my children still use it. And I mean, and that's my fault. It's me who bought diet sodas for the past couple of decades, or 2 or 3 decades, and got them into the habit of using that. And I wish I could get them out of it, but they're grown now and will sadly have to learn the hard way like I did. But so at this point, after having read those articles, I wonder if you think you have a toxic reaction to artificial sweetener. Do you think it affects your health at all? Because apparently it might not, or it might not affect you as bad as it affects me. And that is just a sort of mind-boggling revelation for me. You know, I would have gone around telling everybody who permitted me to, don't use that stuff, it's poison, it's going to kill you. But, you know, that might not be the case. And that's kind of why I have a blanket policy to not tell people what to do or what to eat, because you just get proved over and over again that what works for me might not work for anybody else. But I am curious to know what works for you. And I do want to get into a little more. I mean, I've been going for a little while, so I won't do it now because this needs its own long talk. But I want to talk more about my previous experience with the carnivore community and doing the carnivore diet in general back in 2016 and 2017. Because, I mean, it's just a totally different thing. Even though I was still just eating meat, you know, and animal products, I was still having dairy. Probably coffee, definitely diet sodas. But it's just strange. The whole experience was different, and I do want to tell y'all about that sometime. But I won't get into that tonight. It's getting a little late for me. And again, please tell me, how do you think artificial sweeteners affect your health? Because I'm pretty sure they wrecked mine. I want to know how you're doing. And I hope you have a good evening. Definitely will see you in the next one.